All right, today we're going to a quiet little farm in Indiana, a place that became the backdrop for one of the most gruesome and just plain bizarre murder sprees in American history. This is the unbelievable story of the woman at the very center of it all, the infamous Belle Gunness.
You know, she picked up a few nicknames over the years, but none of them ever stuck quite like this one, Hell's Belle. It just perfectly captures the kind of horror that was hiding right there in plain sight.
So where does this all kick off? Well, it starts with what looks like a terrible tragedy. In the wee hours of April 28, 1908, the Gunness family farmhouse in LaPorte, Indiana, goes up in this massive, raging fire. And to anyone looking on, it just seemed like a heartbreaking accident.
And at first, the story seemed pretty straightforward, just really grim. In the ashes, investigators find the bodies of Belle's 3 children. They also find the body of an adult woman, but here's the thing, she's headless. Still, everyone just assumes it has to be Belle. The whole town was in shock, mourning what looked like the tragic end of an entire family. But that was not the end of the story, not by a long shot.
That whole official story just completely falls apart with the arrival of one man, Asle Helgelien. See, his brother, Andrew, had been writing to Belle. He packed up his entire life savings, went to her farm, and then poof, vanished. Asle was positive his brother didn't just disappear. He was murdered right there on that property.
And here's the thing. Asle wasn't just going on a gut feeling. He had letters from his brother that mentioned something really specific and really chilling. He told the investigators to go to the hog pen, of all places, and to start digging in any soft spots they found in the ground.
Okay, and this is where everything takes a truly horrific turn. They start digging, and it doesn't take long before a shovel hits something soft. It's a burlap sack. They open it up, and inside, the chopped-up remains of a man. Asle Helgelien takes one look and knows immediately it's his brother, Andrew. And then, as they all stand there in horror, they start to notice them everywhere. Dozens of these soft, slumped-in spots all over the pen.
What they found next is just staggering. They just kept digging and they kept finding more bodies, one after another. They pulled at least 11 more sets of human remains out of the dirt on Belle Gunness's farm. The hog pen was a mass grave.
And as they examined the remains, they realized something absolutely terrifying. This wasn't chaos. There was a method to this madness, a clear process. Each victim was dismembered in the exact same way. Head chopped off, arms hacked from the shoulders, legs cut off at the knees, and the torso wrapped up in a burlap sack. This was systematic.
So, investigators start digging into her past, and guess what? The murder farm wasn't where the bodies started piling up, not even close. When they looked back, they found a long, dark trail of very suspicious deaths, all of them leaving Belle just a little bit richer.
Okay, this timeline is it's wild. You have to follow this. First, with husband number 1, Mads, their business and their home both burn down. Surprise, surprise, they get insurance money. Then, 2 of her own babies die from, quote, acute colitis, and yep, she collects insurance on both. Then Mads himself dies on the one single day that 2 of his life insurance policies overlapped. Belle gets $5,000. So she marries Peter Gunness. First, his baby daughter dies. Then, just 8 months later, Peter dies when a meat grinder supposedly falls off a shelf and crushes his skull. And with every single death, Belle just keeps cashing checks.
So, with a farm basically paid for in blood, Belle really perfects her true calling, a cold, calculated scheme that preyed on lonely, hopeful men. She turned the personal ads section of the newspaper into her own private hunting ground.
So how did it work? It was diabolically simple. She'd put these ads in papers across the Midwest, painting herself as this charming, wealthy widow who just wanted a good man to share her farm with. It was all a trap, designed to do one thing, lure in men who had money.
It's like this lethal funnel, right? She placed the ads, write these incredibly charming letters to earn their trust, and then she'd make 2 very important demands. 1, bring all your money with you to prove you're serious. And 2, don't you dare tell a single soul where you're going. Once they showed up at the farm cash in hand, well, that was it.
Which brings us back to the fire. And the biggest question of all, after all this horror was uncovered, what about that headless body? Did America's most notorious female serial killer really die in that fire? Or was this her ultimate escape plan?
Well, the biggest clue that she got away actually came from her hired hand, a guy named Ray Lamphere, who was also her lover.
After he was convicted for setting the fire, he confessed. He said Belle knew Assel Hogelian was coming, and she panicked. So she found a woman to use as a body double, killed her, dragged her inside, and then had Lamphere torch the place while she made her escape.
But when you look at the actual physical evidence from the scene, the story gets really murky. Sure, a body was found in her house, but the head was missing. How convenient. No head, no positive ID. Even worse for the official story, the doctor who examined the corpse said it was 5 inches shorter and about 50 pounds lighter than Belle Gunness was known to be. I mean, those numbers just don't add up.
And it wasn't just the weird evidence. For years, decades even, after that fire, people who actually knew Belle, people who would recognize her on the street, swore they saw her. Sightings popped up all over, fueling this legend that she had just slipped away to start over.
So, in the end, how did it all shake out officially? Well, Ray Lamphere was convicted of arson, but not murder. The headless corpse was officially declared to be Belle Gunness, and the case was closed. But the public? They never bought it. The story on the street, the one everyone believed, was that she absolutely got away with it.
And that's the question we're left with today. Was that fire her final act of destruction, or was it her greatest act of deception? Did Hell's Belle finally meet her end, or did she walk away from the flames free to kill again? The real answer is still buried somewhere in the ashes of that Indiana farm.